Hello and welcome back. So today I'm just popping in because I'm going to be starting a new drawing. So yeah, just wanted to pop in and talk about that a little bit. Got the little dog here with me as well. Yeah, so today I'm going to be starting a small giraffe. I thought it'd be nice to do one for a change. Been a while since I last done one, so that's what I've chosen to draw. It's going to be quite a young giraffe. Going to be doing it on a small scale as well, so it'd be quite a quick draw, probably about 2 hours maybe, around about there, so a quickish drawing. I'm going to be using drafting film and I'm going to be using the matte one side. I'm still using up my matte one side, and with the subject today I don't really need to be working on both sides, so I'm just going to be using the matte on the front side. Now my recording voice is a bit different to normal. I've upgraded my recording device, but the microphone doesn't fit it, so I'm relying on the phone microphone today. But you can still hear me, it's just not great quality, but I do apologise. I'm going to have to update my microphone as well. So yeah, I'll pop up the picture now to show you what we'll be drawing. So yeah, I think you'll agree this is a lovely photo to be working with today. And yeah, I'm not sure what pencil brands I'll be using. If you follow me, you know that I just use the colours rather than the different brands, so it'll just be probably the normal core pencils that I normally use. Haven't got a huge selection of colours in this piece, so probably be quite a small amount of colours, but yeah, I think this will be a lovely drawing. And yeah, I think that's all I need to mention. So I'll put all the details in the description as always, the line art and the reference photo. And yeah, I think we'll get to the drawing board and now we'll get started. Okay, so here we are at the drawing board then. Just explain my setup then. Just give that a little brush there. Must be on the film. So I've got the film on top. I need to tape it down a bit better actually. So I've got the Grafix drafting film matte one side. I don't know if you can see the shine on the reverse side, and then you've got the matte on the front, which is the side that we'll be drawing on. And then we've got the line art underneath, which is just on normal tracing paper, which I'll be sharing of course. And then I've just got some white paper underneath, well, paper / card, you just use anything really, and it just gives it a bit more of a softness there, and it's just nice to have a blank page underneath. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we can pretty much now get started. I'm going to take mine down a bit more because it's moving a bit too much. But yeah, that's all that's in the setup there then. So yeah, I'll tape all this back down properly and we'll get started. Right, so let's get started then. I do apologise again about the voice quality, but we'll just deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the dark sepia then, and I'm going to start with the eye first. So just get the shape in. Once we're happy with that, we can start filling around the outside and obviously in the inside of the eye as well. So I've got, as I say, I've got the dark sepia then. So let's just get the shape in. So it sort of goes up and then across, like a flat bit across the top, and then quite a strong down. And it meets up there. So this is going to be quite a quickish drawing, as I said. We're not going to get too hooked up on all the details. It's quite a small drawing, so it'd be nice to just sort of be loose and yeah, not go too mad with all the details. So I think that's okay then. Now we've got the eyelashes on top. So the eyeball is obviously underneath. So I'm just going to do like a circle. This eye is very dark, so we don't really have a lot to play with, but that's fine. So we're just going to sort of put the pupil in just so we know where it is. Make sure it looks okay, which I think it does. And then I'm going to fill it in with the dark sepia again. Okay, and then I'm going to get my black and just go over that, just to deepen it. Just go over it several times. We don't need to put a lot of pressure on, just sort of go over it a few times there. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the dark sepia and just fill in the rest where it's just a little bit lighter. Just fill that in. Just make sure we're happy with the shape of that eye there. And I think that'll be okay. Just giving that a bit of a brush. Now I'm going to do a bit more. I'm going to do some work on the outside of the eye before we do any more on the inside. So I'm going to go with the the cold grey one for the top where it's lighter. So let's just fill in the eyelid there. Okay, and then down the bottom here, let's go to the warm grey one now. So a nice warm grey. There's not a lot of difference in colour, but it is a warmer grey down the bottom, so we'll put that in. Okay, actually I'm going to take it up to the cold grey one there because we're going to be filling that in anyway. So just fill that in there. Okay, so I'm going to carry on working on the outside of the eye. I think a bit of walnut brown would be good to put in as well. Yeah, that's walnut brown. I've got quite a small little pencil here. I'm going to put a layer of this along the bottom. I might just sort of bring it over the light a bit there. Up to the corner. Okay, and I think this would be good on this little bit here where it gets, where we've got a little brown bit there on the eyelid there. I'm going to have to find a pencil extender for mine in a minute, because I think we'll be using the walnut brown quite a bit in there. Okay, so let's go back to the black. Actually, before we do go to the black, I want to get the sepia 10 with the Luminance and just do the shading above the eye, just up the top here. Ooh. Just sort of inside the eyelid there, and put a bit of that around here as well. And it sort of brings up that eye bit a bit more. Do under this bit underneath. That's it. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring that coming down off the walnut brown as well. A bit more shade in there. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bit in this corner as well. Okay, that's it. So let's go back to the black now, and I just want to use this to fill the eye pupil in a bit more. Just want to make that a bit darker. I do apologise with all the tings, I don't know what that is. Just fill that back in. Just go round and round. Just gives it a few more layers. And then I'm going to go back to my dark sepia and just do either side of that, just to darken that. That's it. Make sure we've got the shape back in. And there's not a lot more we can do with that eye now. Just need to put the eyelashes in, and I think we can call that bit done. So I think the slice tool would probably be the best bet because of the scale. It's just going to be too small for the eyelashes. So I've got a slice tool here, and literally all we're going to do is just sort of put some little lashes in. So I'm not taking all the pencil out actually, I'm just sort of scraping off a couple of layers. So we don't want pure white lashes, we just want like a little sort of sight that they're there. And that's all it really needs. So we don't want to go crazy with the details. So I think that's going to be it for the eye then. We can start working around it and filling in the rest of his face. So trying to think what would be best to start with. I think if we do up the top first. Right, so I've got the warm grey 2, and I'm going to use this as a base just along the top here. So it's quite dark coming down the front here, and then it gets a bit lighter going up. So yeah, with the warm grey 2 then, let's just fill this little stretch in. It's going to come right down to the eye there. I'm actually just going to run that all the way down. Okay, let's just put it up here as well. Put a bit in there. And then it gets lighter there, so I'm going to leave that. Okay, so pretty much filled that whole section in then. So for that colour there, I was going to go to the Luminance. I think the Warm Earth 40 would be good. So I've got the Warm Earth 40. So we've got this line coming down here, so I'm going to come up to that and do the rest of it in this colour. I'm going to sharpen that actually. Don't think it's going to let me have my pencil then. So yeah, let's do that again then. Let's bring that all the way down. It's quite dark. But yeah, we might as well just come down to the mouth there. And then we've got a sort of like a long diamond shape here. So yeah, I just want to leave a little lighter bit going down the middle there. Obviously we're working very small, so so we've got these shapes here as well. I'm just going to fill them in. We can always use the little rubber to take some out. So yeah, we've got that little shape there. What's that? It will need darkening a bit further. Okay, and with the warm earth 40, I'm going to carry that on up here. And then this bit here as well, but I'm going to leave a little lighter bit in the centre there. So while we've got the warm earth 40, I think it'd be nice to just put in the rest of these shapes, and then we can just sort of go on from there. So yeah, let's just sort of fill in these different markings. I think this will be a good colour, especially on the face where it's a bit darker. I've got an added one down here. Okay, and then let's do sort of a funny shaped one here. So just sort of draw what you see really. Okay, and then we've got this shaded bit up here. I'm just going to add a couple more little like circle shapes there, and then we go into shading. We could add a few dots, you know, like dots up here, little sort of random shapes up here, there, and near the ear. And up here, it's a bit lighter than coming down the face, so I probably will switch to another colour. So while I've got this brown ochre, or warm earth, sorry, warm earth 40, let's do a bit down here as well. So we can do sort of his lip. And go around his nostril there. And we've got like a sort of faded effect here, so I'm not going to fill it all in. Get that round lip there in. Okay. Just wondering whether to fill in. I'm going to leave that for another colour, I think. So I think that's it for the warm earth on the face bit then. We need to add a little bit under his eye actually. He's got like a little triangle shape there. We'll put that in. That's it. Right, so I've got the warm grey 6 now. I'm going to use this to get the shape of the nostril in. So let's do the inside first. Just fill that all in. And then got a lighter bit. I'm just gonna do a bit on the outside. And then again, and on this side as well, it's a lot darker. I think that's fine. I'm going to darken that up with the black on the inside. Just darken that little nostril. I think that's all that needs. So let's do a bit of work around the mouth. So I've got the brown ochre in the polychrome. I think this will be a nice colour for the mouth area. So let's put a bit on the lips here at the front. And then I think this colour would be nice down here on the bottom. I'm going to take that up here as well actually. And then we'll darken that. Okay, so let's go, actually let's put a bit of the raw umber in as well, so it's a bit darker. So let's run along the top of this bottom bit of the mouth. Just go round and round and get that colour in. And then let's put a bit on the top as well. I think a bit of sepia 50 would be good in there also. Let's put a tiny bit in there at the top. Okay, we do need to dial it down a bit, but we will do. So I'm going to go with the sepia 50 now. Run that along the top, darken that up. Give that a brush. Let's put a bit in the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to get my Tombow and just run that along the top just to take a little bit out. So it is a bit lighter on the lip there above it. So take a little bit out. Tidy that up there, make it a bit more rounder. And drafting film's very forgiving. If you want to take some pencil out, it's so easy to do so. So yeah, it's a very forgiving surface. I'm going to get my warm grey 1 back, if I can find it. I've got so many pencil extenders, so yeah, I've just got the warm grey 1 here. I'm just going to put a bit here. I'll have to sharpen this in a minute as well, I think. Just want to get the rubber back and just take a little bit more out down here at the front. So I'm not sort of taking all the pencil out, I'm just sort of taking away a couple of layers there just to lighten it. And I'm going to do the same just in the middle here a little bit. That's better. And then I'm going to get my warm grey 1 back and just go over that. Okay, that's a lot better. Now I'm going to get the caput mortuum for the top bit of the lip. Oh, just up here, just put like a bit of a pinky brown up here. Okay, run that up there as well. We need to darken that up anyway. I'm going to put a bit of that over here too. Why not put a bit in here? We're going to be darkening it all up anyway. Okay. And a bit round the edge down the bottom here. Okay, so let's darken it up now. So rather than the sepia 50, I think the sepia in the Polychrome, so the dark sepia, and we can just darken everything now, just light pressure. So further down here it's darker. And let's darken up that side. Okay, then we've got a few little dot marks in here. Can't really see them that well, but we'll just put them in, just a few little dotted marks, just so we can just see them there. Okay, and then under the bottom of the lip, the top lip, I'm going to run this dark sepia. Give that a brush. Oh, I just got the brown ochre back, and I just want to bring that down a bit more on this bottom bit of the mouth. We can do a few sort of wispy bits coming off as well. Okay, then I want to switch to the sepia 10 with the Luminance, and this will just help smooth everything. Just give it that nice mauvey sort of shade there. And then let's take this up here. I've got a darker bit coming up. And then we've got this line going across the bottom here. It comes up to about this marking, I think. And it sort of just drifts off. And it just joins that light a bit there. So just keep referring back to your reference photo. That's it. Put that over here. This is just a nice colour for shading and just putting a bit of depth in. I'm going to run that up the top here as well, into that light a bit. Into there as well. I thought that was another shape, but it's not. We'll just fill that in. Now, I do need to darken around the nostril a bit more. I'm going to go with the dark sepia first. So it does need that darkness in there. That's a bit better. Sometimes you just need to put a couple more layers in. Oh, that's better. Just coming over the top as well. Just under there, just darken that up a little bit. Okay, and I think that's enough for the details, so we don't want to go too into it. While I've got the dark sepia, let's just do a few little odd bits coming off, or little whiskers there, just very lightly. That'll be fine. We could add a little bit of the black as well. Not too much, but just add a tiny bit there. I think that will be enough. Okay, so I'm going to leave that then. I think that's pretty much there. So let's carry on up the face. Now I do need to darken up these markings. We put the Warm Earth 5 in already. I'm wondering if a bit of the raw umber in places. So I've got the raw umber here. I've got like this triangle shape. I'm not quite sure if that's really the sort of colour I'm after. I'm going to go with the burnt ochre and put that over. No, that's not really the colour I'm after either. I need to darken that. Let's try the sanquine back with the polychrome, and then maybe a bit of the burnt sienna. That's looking promising. And then I'm going to get my burnt sienna. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, and while I've got the burnt sienna, let's just do a bit more up here. So we haven't got a perfect shape, so we're just sort of doing sort of random little markings. And then I'm going to bring that up over the warm earth 40 as well. And add a bit of that down here as well. Won't do any harm. I'm going to go back to the sanquine and just go over these shapes. And then this little one under his eye. Okay, back to the burnt sienna. Right, so I've got the warm grey one, and I just want to fill in, you know, all the lighter area in between the markings there. At least we don't have to worry about fur direction or anything like that. Okay, so just make sure that's all filled in. So just do this little area as well. I think once the face is in, this should be quite quick. Okay, and then I think the sepia 10, back with the luminance. So we need to get this shading in down here a bit more. I'm going to run that along the bottom. So it's coming in between these markings here. They're not exactly the same as the photo, the markings, but that's fine. And let's put a bit more on this middle bit coming through. I am actually going over the markings as well. It will just tone that orange down a little bit there. I think that might be good to put it on that bit there as well. Let's see, it just sort of tones that down a little bit. And then I'm going to run that up there. Put a bit more down the bottom. Put a bit in there, join that up. I've just come up with another colour which would go nice actually, probably all over, and that's a Pablo, the brownish beige. I'm just going to sort of put this in places. So she's coming down the front here. Yeah, I think this would be a nice colour to use. Let's put a bit, come down the middle here. I'm wondering if I can put a bit of detail in the mouth here where it sort of folds just a little bit. And that'll be fine. And then I'm going to soften just this mouth area with it as well, just on the edge. Okay. So it's quite similar to the sepia 10, to be honest. Like that little bit in there definitely needs to be darkened. But we're pretty much there with the face. Let's just bring this around his eye bit at the bottom there, just to sort of frame it a bit better. Go over the walnut brown there. I've got the caput mortuum here. I'm just going to darken the top here. And we've got this shadow sort of coming across. Just bring it down the front here. Okay, then I want to fill this bit in next. I'm going to go back to the Warm Earth 40. I'm just going over the caput mortuum. Sort of softening everything up now, and then we can get this top little bit in. Actually, I was going to darken here with the caput mortuum as well. So we've got like this little fold here. Actually, just add a bit more in here as well. Okay, so let's do up here now then. So I'm going to switch to the cocoa. Actually, let's just put some caput mortuum in there as well. That's it. Now let's switch to the cocoa, back with the Pablo, and get these bits in. I'm going to bring that all the way down, actually darken that caput mortuum. Okay, and then again the dark sepia to darken them up, and then maybe a little bit of black. I've got the dark sepia here, darken these up. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of black. Down towards the bottom. So let's do this ear next then. So I've got the warm grey one for the base, so I'm just going to fill in the top bit in. I'm going to bring that over the top of his head as well. And then we've got this little bit at the side here. Let's fill that in. Okay, so let's get a bit more colour up here. So I think the cinnamon would be nice as another colour where it's starting to get lighter. So I've got the cinnamon. Let's just put a bit of that in there. This is another short pencil by the looks of it. Bring that down here as well. I want to take a little bit out in the corner there with my Tombow. And then a bit of sanquine also. I have to put those little markings back in. I'm bring some of that over here. I still need to darken here actually. So let's get those markings back in. I've got the burnt ochre, and let's just put these little shapes back in there. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bit of that over here just above the eye. It's a bit lighter. Okay, and I want to darken this bit here. So I'm wondering if the walnut brown would be good. So I've got the walnut brown here. He's got a little tufty bit on the top of his head there. Put that in. I'll put a bit on that bit over here on this one as well. That's it. Moving my picture, I'm going to bring this down a little bit further. I think that's helped quite a bit actually. I'm going back to my cinnamon just to colour in that centre bit there, just so it's not white. And then let's just put a bit more over the top of his head here. And then we can start doing that ear there. I think that's pretty much all we need to add. Okay, so let's do this ear then. So I was wondering if the violet grey or the sepia 10. I'm going to start with the sepia 10. They're very similar in colour, but the violet grey is just a bit darker. But we'll start with the sepia 10. Just start getting some shading in there. And then we've got that bit underneath. Let's put that in there. So we've got this bit joining up with the eye. I'm just going to put a bit in there. Okay, before I darken that, I think it'd be good to get this bit in next. I think let's go with the warm grey 2 as a base for this bottom bit here. Okay, and then I think cocoa would be good colour as well. So I'm going to get the cocoa and just darken in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to switch to the violet grey. Let's do this top bit here. So we've got a bit of a frilly bit coming around. So I'm going to come back from there. Just put this darker line. And then let's fill in the bottom bit. That brush there. Okay, and then let's put a bit on the top. Right, I've got the dark sepia now. I just want to darken up in the inside of the ear. But what I'm going to do, this frilly bit of fur at the edge here, I'm just going to sort of go into it and create a frilly bit there whilst darkening the inside. Just gradually bring this dark sepia out. It's quite dark on this inner bit. A tiny bit on that rim there. I'm going to have to get my rubber actually to put the little frilly bit in there. It's not quite working. So I'm just darkening it up a little bit more. I'm going to get my violet grey back. There you are. And just do a bit more on the bottom there. I just need to shape that better as well. Better. Just want to take that little bit out there. Soften it a bit better, that's it. And then I think for that little frilly bit, I'm going to have to use the Tombow 4 because it wasn't quite working with the sepia there. Right, so I've got the Tombow back and I'm just going to do a few sort of frilly bits coming off. Just a little bit there, I don't want to go over the top. Let's just clean that up. And then I'm just going to get my warm grey one and just fill that in. Just softening that up around the edge. I want to deepen that colour a little bit more. I'm going to go back in with the violet grey and just put a bit more in. Okay, I think that's better. I need to do the hair at the back there. We'll put that in. Yeah, we'll do that next. I think that would be a good idea. I'm going to go back with the warmer 40 and just use this as a base. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bit of sanquine in. It's quite light up the top here. And then let's switch to the walnut brown. It's got a bit of a darker bit at the top here. Okay, and then I want to add just a bit more colour in there. So I think going back to the cinnamon, just to put a bit more in. Oh, I've got the cinnamon here. And put a bit of that in the hair as well. A bit of spiky hair. Okay, let's start coming down the neck area now then. I'm going to start with the warm grey one, where it's a bit lighter. Just coming in between these shapes here. And then a bit down there, and then we're going to change to the warm grey 2. Yeah, let's switch to the warm grey 2 now. We just come down to there. We start filling in these shapes now then. I think I'm going to go with the warmer 40. Back with the Luminance. Let's fill these shapes in. Just add another little one in there. Right, I'm going to get my brownish beige back with the Pablo then. I think this will be good over the warmer 40. I'm not going to go all over with this colour, but just in places, just to get like a two-tone effect there. Actually, that one goes behind the ear there. Okay, and then coming down here. Okay, then we've got some little lines with a fold of the skin there. Just put that in. I'm going to get my sepia 10 just to do a bit of shading as well. There it is. I've got so many pencils and extenders, it's hard to locate them. So I've got the sepia 10. Just add a bit of shading. Now let's add some terracotta to the markings here then, just to add a bit more in there. I need to add a bit more to this one actually as well. Marking on the side of his face. And then I've got the burnt sienna just to darken them a little bit there. Okay, and I want to add a bit of the dark sepia to the markings up here as well, just sort of deepen them a little bit there. Okay, and then I've just got some markings just under the eye to add and just darken a couple of those lines, which I'm going to do the dark sepia, and then I think we can just carry on down the neck. So yeah, as I said, I've got the dark sepia here. We've got some little markings just under the eye. I'm just going to put 3 little dots in there, and that'll be enough. And then just want to add a bit more in these sort of folds of the fur here, very lightly there. Okay, so we can move down a bit more now. Right, so let's get these markings in first. I've got the burnt ochre here. So yeah, as I say, let's get some of these markings in. So we don't want to make them perfect shapes. Okay, so I think we'll just come down to there then for now. Make sure they're not, we don't want sort of smooth edges as such, so I'm just sort of going over the line art a bit more just to get like a jagged edge, if you like. So we don't want perfect little shapes. Okay, so I think what would be good then is to fill in between. So I was going to go with the warm grey one first, just as a base. Let's just get this in between. I've got a new colour here, we haven't used this yet. It's the burnt ochre 10%. I think this will be a nice sort of off pink colour in between, just to give it that burnt ochre colour. Actually, I'm going to let that go over the shapes that we've put in as well. It will just help blend. They need to be darkened up anyway. I think that colour works quite nice actually. I'll put a bit in the bottom of the face here as well. Put a little hint there. I just want to go over these shapes again. So I've got the terracotta back, just go over them, and then a bit of burnt sienna. Okay, and then I'm going to richen them up with the burnt sienna. That pencil dust there. Okay, so let's just do this little bit of hair coming down then, and we'll probably stop the first video. So I've got the Warm Earth 40 again. I think this will be a good base. I've got the burnt ochre back just to add a bit of the orange coming through, mainly on the tip. And I'm wondering about some caput mortuum. Let's give it a go. I've got the caput mortuum here, just to give it sort of like a reddy brown. Okay, then I'm just going to run the cinnamon down the edge here. Okay, I just want to get my Tombow and just one over there. Trying to look for my warm grey one. It's just there. I think that's pretty much it for this area for now. Okay, so I think we're pretty much there then, as I say, for this video. I was just going to put a bit more caput mortuum in this main area, just in areas just to darken a few bits. And then I think that'll be it. So I think I said at the beginning this will be probably a couple of hours. It's probably going to be more like 3. But then this area down here will probably go a lot quicker, so but I think we'll definitely be going over the 2 hours, but that's fine. But it's quite a quick drawing. Just a bit longer than I originally said. But yeah, I think that's going quite nicely. Looks quite cute. We've got the colours that we're going to use for the rest of him now. So yeah, I'll finish it there, and I hope you join me on the next one.